Hey everyone, welcome to our first and only episode of Kansas Killings. I'm your host, Richard Nunez, and here with me today is my best friend and entertaining co-host, Adrian Sanchez.
Hello, today we'll be looking at a very interesting murder case reconstructed by author Truman Capote in his book In Cold Blood.
That's right. Our story takes place in the village of Holcomb, Kansas, a very peaceful town indeed, where nothing much occurred. It is here on River Valley Farm where four members of the Clutter family were murdered by ex-convicts Richard Eugene Hickok and Perry Edward Smith during a robbery at their home. In the morning of November 1959, the two broke into the Clutter's family home searching for a safe they had been told was there by Floyd Wells, a fellow inmate at the prison which they were held prior, Kansas State Penitentiary. After entering the home through an unlocked door, not being able to locate the safe, in a fit of rage and quick decision, the two went about murdering the members of the family to make sure there were no witnesses that could pose a threat to them later.
Herb Clutter, the head of the family, was the first one to go. His throat was sliced and then he was shot in the head by Perry Smith. The rest of the family was killed off in the same way, one by one. To make matters worse, there was never really a safe in the house. The two made away with only a pair of binoculars and a radio, and after spending some time in Mexico, they would be arrested in Las Vegas where they would go to trial. While both were found guilty and sentenced to death row, Smith took the blame for the four murderers because he felt sorry for Hickok's mother, which was present at the trial. She's a real sweet person, Smith claimed. After spending 5 years in death row, they were hung.
Oh, so their main motive for breaking and robbing the place wasn't even there. That sucks big time. But now that we know the story, we are left to wonder what was going on in their lives.
Well, speaking from a physical manner, they were fine, but both faced either an emotional trauma or mental trauma of some sort.
That's right. Smith's early years were rough. Smith was born on October 22nd, 1928, in Huntington, Nevada. His parents were divorced due to an uneasy relationship, and he had siblings, three brothers and one sister, which were all sent to different relatives throughout their childhood, just like him. He was neglected, beaten badly by nuns at an orphanage, by Salvation Army members too, because he would wet the bed daily. This, I would imagine, would lead to him to start having thoughts about alienation, and which always damages a person's self-image and makes them more vulnerable.
While Smith was struggling with these emotions, Richard Eugene Hickok, born on June 6th of 1931 in Kansas, his parents divorced at a young age and caused him to have anger towards his father. Later on, he would perform a series of petty thefts as well as fraud. Hickok suffered an accident which caused him great mental suffering that continued throughout the rest of his life. As noticed by Dr. W. Mitchell Jones, Hickok had serious brain injury, which Hickok himself claims gave him blackout spells, periods of amnesia, and headaches ever since. He does not seem capable of learning from experience, and he shows an unusual pattern of intermittent periods of productive activity followed by patently irresponsible actions, Jones claims. This all could link back to the head injury, which I personally believe plays a really big role in the murders during the robbery gone wrong.
You make a good point, Adrian. In my opinion, this case was really bad and unfortunate for everyone involved, from the Clutters to the two convicts. For the Clutter family, they not only lost their whole family, but also their chances for their lineage to go on. For the killers, it is also an unfortunate series of events for them, due to the fact that they both ended up on death row and were eventually hung.
I agree with Richard. The case itself was just a terrible tragedy for all those involved. However, I do think very much that this could be a warning to families and others as to why it's important, why a child's development is very important. So, take care of your kids, people. I don't want to stray too far from the topic, but it really, really did. The nurture of the killers as children played a huge role as to the robbery committed and the murders without showing any remorse.
You do make a great point there. Take care of your kids, people. While that may have been the case for our two Kansas killers, they still committed murder, and unfortunately, that is tragic. And they ended up on death row and hung, as previously mentioned. Well, thank you for joining us today in our first and final episode, and we hope you enjoyed your time here with us in Kansas Killings.
Thank you guys. Have a good day.